Hey, I'm Marshall.
And I'm Anna, and we're excited to continue this series called The Rock.
This whole series is about life-changing experiences. Do you have a story that you can share with us that kind of rocked your world?
I don't know if I have one that's rocked my world, but I have been watching a lot of videos of the Australian wildfires and have been taken aback by the complete devastation to humans and animals, and got to see this video of this man who had seen a koala in danger with fire surrounding it. He ran in, took the shirt off his back, grabbed this animal, and ran back to safety. And I was just blown away by this picture of humanity at its best.
That's so cool. So let's watch this God story and see how it can change our life.
Which Bible character was the best musician? Samson. He brought the house down. Hi everyone, my name's Paige, and one year at Christmas, I got the best surprise ever. My parents gave me a guinea pig. It was the most amazing thing. I wanted one for so long, and him and I became best friends. Now, I tell you that story because when we last met, we heard the story of Jesus' death on the cross. And while we know that he didn't stay dead, that on the third day he rose from the dead, his disciples didn't know that. All they knew was that their good friend, their teacher, the one who they thought was the Messiah, the rescuer, was dead. So even though Jesus told them while he was with them that he would die and rise back to life, that didn't seem to register in their brains. They had no idea he wasn't going to stay dead. And so when you hear me tell my story of my guinea pig and how I was super pumped, imagine how much more amazing it would have been for the disciples when they found out that Jesus didn't stay dead. He was alive. So much so that his life rocked heaven and earth, and it still does. And that's today's big idea. Jesus' life rocks heaven and earth. So today we're celebrating in our series called The Rock. We are celebrating because Jesus is alive. Last time we heard how when Jesus died, the earth shook. People were raised from the dead, and something big happened. The barrier between God and people had been removed. All of this would have been pretty incredible, but to his disciples, Jesus was still dead. So how could any of this seem good? Well, here's what happened next. Since Jesus was dead, a man named Joseph asked if he could take Jesus' body down from the cross. He had been a follower of Jesus and wanted to bury Jesus' body in the customary way. So he wrapped it in clean linen and placed it in a tomb cut out of a rock. Then a big stone was rolled in front of it. Pilate sent guards to the tomb also, because the religious leaders were afraid that Jesus' followers would steal his body and say he was alive. So soldiers guarded the tomb. A huge stone was in place. Nothing was going to get into Jesus' tomb. Well, let's read what happened next from Matthew. There was a powerful earthquake. An angel of the Lord came down from heaven. The angel went to the tomb. He rolled back the stone and sat on it. His body shone like lightning. His clothes were as white as snow. The guards were so afraid of him that they shook and became like dead men. So there was a powerful earthquake. Again, heaven and earth were rocked. Have you ever noticed that in this story before? Then an angel rolled back the stone, that huge stone, and he sat on it. The guards who were there watching were so freaked out that they shook. The angel told the women, "Don't be afraid. Jesus isn't here. He has risen." Then he showed them where Jesus had been lying, but he wasn't there. The angel told the women to go and tell his disciples, "He has risen from the dead. He is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him." So the women hurried away from the tomb. They were afraid but also filled with joy. Suddenly, Jesus met them. "Greetings." They came to him, took a hold of his feet, and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Don't be afraid. Go ahead and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me." Wow, that is some good stuff. Jesus' death didn't just rock heaven and earth, his life does too. And this rising from the dead, or the big word that we use for that is resurrection, rocks the whole world. It shows that death cannot beat him. It shows he is who he said he is. Jesus' life rocked me, and Jesus' life can rock you. And Jesus' life rocks heaven and earth. Well, my name is Paige. I had a blast, and I'll talk to you soon.
Wait, what was that? Oh, turn to the person beside you. Oh, and answer the following question.
Oh, before the time runs out.
Question time. You've probably heard the story of Jesus' death and rising from the dead before. Perhaps many times. What's something new or fresh that stands out to you?
You know, Jesus' death didn't go unnoticed, but when he was raised from the dead, this was no small thing either. In fact, it was such a big deal that it literally shook the earth.
Yeah, we hear that there was an earthquake, an angel showed up and rolled the stone away in front of the grave, and his body was so bright that it was as bright as lightning.
That's kind of crazy. We want to share a story with you, and this may not be about earthquakes, but let's watch how Joshua and his parents experienced a life-changing moment.
My name's Louisa,
And I'm Wehans.
and we have 3 children. We have Grace, who loves to make movies,
And we have Josh, he's a big joker.
and our youngest is Audrey, and she loves unicorns.
We love traveling and we love to see the world with our kids, but we also love the outdoors and we love to do everything in all the seasons. In the summer, we love to be at the beach, but in the winter, we love roasting marshmallows and doing campfires, and it's just great being outdoors.
So when Joshua was 6 months old, he had a very major seizure. I brought Joshua to Sick Kids Hospital to get assessed there, and after the testing, they determined that it was epilepsy.
An epileptic seizure happens when sudden abnormal electrical activity moves through a part of a person's brain. They might have loss of consciousness, sudden uncontrollable movements, or they might only briefly lose consciousness, have a staring appearance, and then feel confused afterwards. Or very mild, uncontrollable movements in one part of the body while a person is still awake.
Unfortunately, the initial medication that they tried was not controlling the seizures, and so eventually they tried another second medication at the same time, and that also did not control the seizures, and we were told it was very severe. He was having 6 seizures a day, which we understood was very severe because 3 seizures in a month is considered very severe epilepsy.
We were really frightened and really scared, and we cared so much for Josh, but then seeing how hard of a time he was having and that the doctors actually said, look, I don't think it's gonna get better.
One day when I was just feeling very discouraged, it was just such a difficult time seeing Joshua go through all this, then I turned to the Bible for some comfort and encouragement. So I opened the Bible to Matthew chapter 4, and I was amazed because it was talking about Jesus healing these different people with different diseases, people that have been paralyzed, and it specifically said people with seizures. So that just jumped out of the page at me, and I felt like God was saying, you know, I'm powerful, I can do this, and I can heal him. So that helped us to just put our trust and faith in God that he does have the power to do this still.
We got our home church together, and then we actually did something where we laid hands on Josh and then actually anointed him with oil, and we all then started praying for Josh and praying that he would have healing, praying that God would really be there and present and lift him up, and we dedicated him to God. And after that, something miraculous happened. 2 weeks later, from having a seizure every day, 6 times a day, the seizures all of a sudden stopped. And then we called the doctors immediately. We said, the seizure stopped.
He was just so amazed to see how Joshua was doing. He said, you know, looking at the notes in the chart of how he was doing before and comparing to how he is today, I did not expect to see this child here in front of me.
The big thing for me is really seeing that all of these miracles, all of these things that happened in the Bible from thousands of years ago, it's not just from thousands of years ago. We actually see them here and now, and it's so powerful, and really through Jesus, all things are possible.
Question time. Joshua had a very real experience of Jesus healing in his life. Have you ever had an experience where you really got a sense that Jesus is who he says he is? If so, how and when?
Marshall, I am completely blown away. Joshua had up to 180 seizures a month. That in and of itself sounds impossible, but to know that he was completely healed after his home church prayed for him, this is a miracle.
It really is. It just shows because of Jesus dying and raising from the dead, we get to celebrate miracles like that, as well as miracles of people deciding to follow Jesus for the first time.
I know, this is amazing. It's time for our small groups. Why don't we break off and see what this looks like in our own lives?
See ya.